Hi, and welcome to Horror Movies and Beyond. I'm your host, Ivotres Littles, and I have really two awesome special guests today, James A. Janice and his fiance, Chelsea Rebecca. They're the two masterminds behind the successful horror YouTube channel, Dead Meat. Hi, guys, and welcome.
Hey!
Hi!
Good to see you again.
It is good to see you guys. The first time we talked, it was during your guys' podcast with them, when we talked about them. That was a lot of fun.
Giant ants.
You can't go wrong with giant ants, of course. And then after that, you guys were on my show. I think it was in October last year. I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because I just remember we were on our phone and we had just moved into the house. So there were boxes everywhere. And we were just like, hey.
We talked about like the most brutal kill.
Kill.
That's right. Yeah.
And I assumed you guys had similar taste in kills, but then I find out you guys didn't. So it ended up, instead of top 5, we went up to top 10.
Yeah.
So it was a very long night, but it was a lot of fun. And
it wasn't long. It was thorough.
Yeah.
Thorough.
Exactly.
Okay.
In depth.
In depth. It was very in depth. And it really lets me know that you guys definitely have two different styles, but the same. So I just want to say, as I always do, thank you so much that you guys done a lot for me in a distance. I haven't seen you guys like up close and personal, like how we did at the cons and stuff. And I hope to do that soon. But in the distance, you guys have helped me. It cheered me on when I did that horror panel. That was really special. That was the first time I ever did that. Yeah. That was the first time I ever did that. And I was completely nervous, but just to get messages from people and just cheering. Like that morning when I woke up, I had a couple of messages saying, you're going to do great and everything, because people knew it was the first time. and that kind of pushed me to do a lot of things. And you guys really inspire me in so many ways.
Oh, that's really so good to hear.
That. Oh man, you deserve the world. Like, I mean, that was a hell of a first panel too. Yeah. Like that's Keith David on that film. Jesus, I would be terrified. You did an amazing job.
Thank you. So I did ask you guys to be a guest on my show because, like I said, you guys inspire me, but you inspire so many people in the horror community, and I think outside of the horror community as well. And I just wanted to, get in depth of the first thought of creating something like this and the fine tuning and how you got to where you are today. And if there would be any changes, if you could, when you first began, or if you could go back into the past, what would you tell yourself to do differently that right now? So we're going to get into that because it's not only for me to learn, it's for those who are starting out. And like I said, you guys are one of the most, if not the most successful horror YouTube channel, because I kind of dibbed and dabbed of others, but something about you guys really catch on. So here we go.
I will leave that to you, James. I feel like that was your baby.
That was such a lofty setup of like, how do you be successful? Hi. Go.
Well, it takes a team, you could do it all by yourself. But if you have two people with the same thought process, the same drive and goals, the pressure of it can alleviate some pressure, but you still have to work for it. But it does help. You could feed off each other, bounce off it. Will this work? No, yes. But when you're doing it alone, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, I think it would be so weird to be doing what we do, or like for you to maybe be doing Dead Meat and to have me not involved at all when it's so huge. It would just feel so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel like we've always worked together, though, is the thing. Like that
is
our
the thing.
relationship.
Our relationship has always been I mean, even before we were dating, we were making things together.
We worked on stuff together. Like we worked on things where I don't know. I feel like you were a producer on stuff I did, and I also came over to like work on stuff you did.
Yeah.
Like I acted in like a few random things that you filmed. So we've always, because we met in film school, so we've just always worked on each other's projects. So like, I don't know, there were like a few years where I feel like I bossed you around before we actually started dating.
That is so cute. So let's get into that. I know you mentioned it on Dead Meat Shorts, but how did you guys meet?
Yeah, we met at University of Michigan. We were both in the film program.
Yeah.
And I think we met my junior year.
That sounds...
Your sophomore year?
That sounds right.
So you're a year younger than me. We met at a Mad Men themed party.
Was it Mad Men? Was it the Mad Men party, or was it the after party for the Student Film Festival? It was one of those.
It was one of those. I think it was the Mad Men one. We have a picture together of us in our Mad Men get-ups and me holding a very green drink. I think we called it minty green.
Ew, was it creme de menthe?
It was creme de menthe. Yeah,
Ugh.
It was real bad. And I have a fedora on, which I would love to blame on the Mad Men theming, but I also just wore that regularly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I don't know if we met at that. I think you're just misremembering because you just dressed like that all the time.
Yeah.
And you're misremembering when we met as like a Mad Men party. We're like, no, you were the only one dressed like that.
That's very possible. Yeah, so we were both doing the film program, but when we met, I was in a different relationship. I think you were too.
Yeah.
So we were just
friends for years.
Because I did God, I hate talking about college me because I suck. I did a short film called Mother Lover about a guy trying to sleep with his best friend's mom, and you helped me make that creation.
I did. So James brought me on to work on this short, and I had to cast
You had to cast the MILFs.
I did a whole like MILF search. Like Craigslist, you name it, just looking for women who would come and play MILFs.
I think you were credited as producer/MILF
I
Wrangler.
was MILF Wrangler. It was like one of my first credited things.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that was before we were ever dating or anything like that. We were just friends doing that. And then I remember when I posted on Facebook of like, hey, I kind of want to start doing sketch comedy on YouTube. Anyone interested? And you were the only one who responded.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, good thing she's really funny and talented. So cool. We got Chelsea Rebecca.
My favorite though was you made me audition.
No, that was for the sitcom pilot that we did.
I also was the only one, I think.
Yes. No, because Comediocracy was like a sketch comedy channel on YouTube that became Practical Folks, which is where a lot of our earliest fans come from. But Comediocracy was started when we were still in college, and we were doing stuff together. Yeah, that would have been 2009 and 2010 would have been when we made the Four Loko video. We made a sketch about Four Locos. I think it was early 2010. So we've been doing this shit for over a decade now together. But and then we moved into doing this sitcom pilot that I wrote with my buddy James Gressel, who I do this because he lives in another part of our house, but he's our D&D for the D&D podcast that we do right now. He was part of Practical Folks. He's just always been around.
Yeah.
And that was what we had you audition for.
Yeah, but I was the only one who auditioned.
But you would have gotten it even if there were other people. You were really good. And it was on that project that we started to date.
Yeah.
And that was 2012.
Yes, that sounds right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So when was the actual idea of, okay, I want to do something beyond of just clocking into a job? Like I wanted to start a YouTube.
Always.
I want to always. Okay.
I hate working for other people. I was about to
I'm
say
a
I
bad
hate
employee.
work, but like I work a ton.
No, you're a workaholic.
Yeah, but it has to be for my own thing.
Yeah.
Like when I clock in at someone else's job, I'm a shit employee.
We're both really bad employees.
Yeah. Really?
Like my first job was in the Detroit area for a quality control company where we would hire people to check all the bolts and stuff to make sure those were good. And I was I was like the office guy. And that was when I learned all the countries in the world and all the capitals of the country. Because instead of like trying to make things better around the office, I was like, I'm just going to use this time to enrich myself. Yeah. And my bosses did not love me. And basically, whenever I've had a job, I've always used whatever time I can to work on my own stuff because I'm just in it for me, I guess.
Maybe I'm onto something because at my job, nobody likes me.
There you go.
Yeah, it's probably because, you see, this is what I'm going to say. It's probably because you're so independent-minded and you know that there are bigger things out there for you and you can't help but fight for those things. And that's what I believe. Yeah, some people, so like, and the people who are good at their jobs, I'm very grateful for because all those jobs need to be done. I'm just very bad at working for other people, and I'm so lucky that I get to work for myself.
Well, it's also hard too when some of the jobs I worked before we started doing what we do, it's like you don't make any money, and it's like how am I supposed to feel motivated to do anything when the amount that I'm getting paid makes me feel like you don't really give a shit.
Yeah. And then even when I did have a well-paying job with Full Screen where I edited videos for Fox for their YouTube channels and social media, I enjoyed that job. And like I said, it paid well, lovely people all around. But like, even when I would make something that I felt proud of and really good, my name wasn't anywhere on it when it goes up online. Really? It's like you just want some validation and ownership that's not just the boss being like, good job. Like you want people to know that those are your talents coming to fruition in this video. And that's really why, I mean, like I said, we started that first channel over 10 years ago. I've just always been on that grind of like, I want some recognition for us and what we do.
I think like the moment I knew that we had something was, so I was working, the last job I worked at before I started doing Dead Meat was I worked at Jimmy Kimmel Live for two years.
About 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, and one year they had a VidCon booth, and VidCon is it's a YouTube convention. I don't know how else to describe it, but Jimmy Kimmel Live had a VidCon booth, and the people I worked with knew that I did like YouTube and stuff and whatever. And like, they would tease me about it and everything. But I was working the booth one day and there was a group of people that came over, and my boss came over and they're like, they're asking for you. And I was like, well, what? And I walk over and they all like took pictures with me, asked me to sign shit. And my bosses were so confused. And it was because they knew me from we were doing Drunk Disney at that point.
Yeah.
And that was pretty wild. Yeah. That was like I think they kind of realized like, oh, like she's actually serious about, the stuff she does.
Oh, okay. So when you guys decided to move to California from Michigan, so Chelsea, I believe you moved first.
Yes,
here.
I did. Yeah.
Based on what I was watching, you flew back and then you guys drive together, and that was like the best moment of James's life.
Oh man, that was so fun.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
During that time, the move was Practical Folks was already going, or you didn't do any of that until you got here in California?
No, that was Comediocracy. It was still back then. And I think we had one video that we filmed and that took me forever to edit. So it was just in the background. At that point in time, you were out here trying to put down roots, as it were.
Yeah, I was really focused on getting a job and working. And like, God, I'll never forget what moving to LA is like. I think it's the loneliest thing. If you don't know people here, which I didn't really, I knew like a handful of people, and even then it was not people that I knew super well. Just jumping in, and it was like, oh man, this is a lonely city to move to, where like you don't really have roots or anything. Because LA is very weird. It's not super walkable. Like you can't just kind of walk around and make friends, and because we all live in our cars here. It's very isolating, I think, and expensive. Like I shared a single bedroom with a friend of mine, Vicha. Shout out to Vicha. But yeah, I shared a room with her. It was wild. And I was just working like a minimum wage production assistant job.
Yeah, and that's when I was doing the quality control thing, and just literally half of every paycheck was going into savings because I just needed to get out of there. But it took me a year to save up enough to come out. And
then once you got here, so what was the next step of trying to establish some kind of, who you guys are today?
Oh man, taking every single little job I possibly could, like on top of my main job where I worked on an entertainment news show that will go unnamed because I probably will end up talking shit about it. It was the worst job I've ever had. I won't say where it was.
Okay.
But I took a lot of like freelance editing gigs because I wanted to edit. So I edited random stuff for Funny or Die. Just like weird random videos. I don't know. I feel like for years, like up until honestly pretty recently, I was doing like really weird freelance stuff. Like I edited like exercise videos and stuff for a little bit. But just saying yes to like everything and honestly burning myself out probably in the process. But
yeah, I was lucky enough to get a good steady job as soon as I came out because of a person that I knew.
The connection was like outrageous.
My mom's cousin's husband's uncle.
Yeah.
That's not me making that
up.
That
actually exists.
That for real.
Wow.
My mother has a cousin who married a guy whose uncle is a higher up at NBC. And so that got me an interview and then landed me a 1-year-long job. It was like a job that was basically kind of an internship, but which was the best case scenario for me. It was like, here, you have a job for a year and then figure out what to do after that. But right after, because of that stability, I think was why right after coming out here, I was like, all right, let's get that sketch comedy going again with Comediocracy. And then we were trying to, because that was months after I moved here that we started to film and release videos, and we were trying to do a sketch a week.
Yeah, that's
while working full time.
No way, that's impossible.
It was very hard.
I think that's when, Chelsea, you told me that you guys burned yourselves out trying to get started.
Well, that's a recurring thing.
Yeah, the burnout is recurring. Yeah, it's ongoing. That is like the biggest downside to what we do is it's so because when you work for yourself and you don't have a schedule, like we don't clock in and out.
No.
The work is just kind of this omniscient thing, and that has upsides and downsides. And yeah, it's one of the biggest downsides is it's hard to like tell yourself no. You know?
So I know that it was after a few months of weekly sketches that we were like, the stuff we're putting out isn't great. Let's kind of adjust things. And then somewhere along the line, we came up with Drunk Disney, which was just us getting drunk and watching Disney movies and making jokes about it and editing the footage over it. And I know we filmed our first one, I think, in September 2013.
That sounds right.
Because the first few episodes came out when it was still Comediocracy. Then there was a whole YouTube thing where we had to close that channel and launch Practical Folks.
Do you remember why we had to close that channel?
Because we got a copyright strike because I did a shitty recorder cover of
Talk Dirty to Me, right?
No. It was Wiggle.
Oh yeah, Wiggle.
Wiggle.
Really?
And then got copyright strike. The channel was like just slapped down, and we tried to appeal to YouTube like it's a recorder cover, and they wouldn't listen to us because we had 100 subs, and so that killed Comediocracy.
Yeah.
And then we launched Practical Folks. And by the time Practical Folks was the thing, it was like, Drunk Disney is the show.
Yeah.
And so we did that for years one per month.
Yeah, with a friend of ours, Dave.
Yes, Dave.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave.
But
like the whole time, we were like, the show is doing well. It would probably do better if we could release it more often. But we're drinking a lot, so we can't do that every week.
Yeah.
And the editing Like,
the editing
so
was
much
a lot.
work.
Well, because it would be us watching a movie,
recording the whole thing,
recording us. So it basically would be like it would be 2 hours of footage of us on the couch, and we'd have to like sync up to what we were watching on the TV, and then edit back and forth.
And so it was like
so
the
much.
first pass, I would pull out like maybe a half hour of stuff that maybe could be used, and then do another pass, and it's like, oh, actually, this is the best 25 minutes. Another pass, oh, we've got it down to the best 20 minutes. It was just over and over. So that was a once a month show, and I think that if Drunk Disney had come out once a week, we probably would have skyrocketed because people love the show, and I'm proud of it. It's funny. But what?
Can't imagine doing that once.
No, that would kill us. We'd be dead.
No, like that's something where I think
your livers would be shot.
Yeah,
livers.
God, we cannot drink like that anymore.
Yeah, people are like, bring back Drunk Disney. It's like, dude,
no,
we're 30 plus.
We're in our 30s now. That was 10 years ago. We can't.
Well, you guys made me feel so old.
Well,
it's like, we're 30 plus, and I'm like,
we're 30 plus, so we can't drink like college students.
Right.
Being 30 plus is great in every other regard. It's just we can't knock back the shots to Tinkerbell anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Different parts of your life have different strengths and weaknesses. Just can't drink to Disney anymore. It's fine.
Yeah, I get it. I remember my young days. It was nice. You could just drink and bounce right back. No.
The next morning, go for a jog, whatever. It's fine.
It takes me 2 days to recuperate.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of fun though. Like, and that is something like I feel two ways about it. One, it was a lot of fun too. We would record stuff, and sometimes I would get only a few times this would happen, but I would get so drunk that I wouldn't remember.
Which it's not recommended.
Not recommended.
No one should drink.
But every once in a while, that was kind of fun to then get that footage back. And I'm like, we're making jokes that like I don't remember making.
And like some of them are still funny, so all right.
But then on the other hand, it's like a weird thing where I look back at that show and I'm like, it's how I feel about Drunk History too, where it's like, I don't know, is it like a weird? Are we making light of just alcohol abuse? Just we're being so flippant.
It's not responsible.
It's not responsible at all.
Would you guys do them again? Anytime?
Not consistently, but I have brought up the idea every time we see Dave, who we see on occasion. He's still a friend. We're lucky enough to have a large social network out here of University of Michigan graduates and their partners or friends, and so we will see Dave on occasion. And every time I'm like, we should just do one more, just get the band back together.
Yeah, we do
want to
do one more, but it's a matter. We got to pick like the perfect movie.
That's the thing, is picking the perfect movie would be difficult for like one last Drunk Disney. What do you even do for that? Because we already did all the classics.
Yeah,
like Snow White and all the big ones.
Snow White again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but one day I would like to have a final Drunk Disney just for all those fans who have been watching us for 8+ years, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's really cool that people have stuck with us. Like, it's nuts that people found us on Practical Folks doing Drunk Disney when they were like 14 years old, and now they're college graduates.
Yes.
You know, it's cool to have been a small part of someone's life for that long.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did Dead Meat come into play?
Yeah, well, Drunk Disney was doing well enough, but like I said, it was kind of plateauing, and we were trying different stuff with Practical Folks, all the stuff that we're really proud of. Our Power Hour show where we were Littlefinger and Cersei. We did a lot of Game of Thrones content that now...
it's so dated.
So dated since no one cares about that show anymore. But we had a review show, What's on the Box. That was excellent. But we really just plateaued, and I think it was a matter, I felt anyway, of we had this group of people that all the decisions had to go through. There were times when I would be like, let's film multiple Drunk Disneys in a night, and people would be like, no. And I was like, I just want to make stuff.
I think we did that once or twice. And
we did a few times. I convinced you guys, and those second episodes are always messy.
Sloppy, yeah.
But it got to the point where I was like, listen, I just want to make stuff on YouTube that I can just do without having to run through a group. And I was kicking around a few ideas. Like, I was really, really into fitness at the time. I was like, maybe I should do like a fitness thing. But I settled on horror movies just because that's a lifelong love. And even though at the time I wasn't as fully just like submerged in the genre as I am now, obviously, it was still something where I felt I had a good baseline knowledge. And so I just took an idea off a website that I made back in middle school about where I had body counts for horror movies.
Is that
and I was
still
like,
up?
What?
Is that still up?
It is not, but I have all the files locally on my hard drive,
okay.
so I can peruse horror movies for you. Nobody else can. But so I was like, okay, I'll make that into a video series, and I spent months developing it. I mean, I had the idea.
Do you remember what alternate names were for your channel?
They were real bad. Running in the Woods was one of them. That's the only one I remember consistently, but I had a slew of names that I didn't land on until January of 2017. I started thinking about the channel in November of 2016. It's just coming up with the name. And then first episode didn't come out until April 2017. So that I spent about 6 months writing, doing the graphics, like really trying to land on the feel of the show and the look of the show. And I think I did a good job. I still use the same music. It's like that kind of chill hop, cool like it. Yeah, it was meant to be fun and a little bit spooky. And I think I nailed that tone. And then, so yeah, Dead Meat came out of me just wanting to be able to release things on my own time. And then it just fucking blew up thanks to Friday the 13th, the game. I will never not praise that game because it just happened to come out as I was releasing my Friday the 13th kill counts. And so people would play the game, look up the movies, find my videos, and just... Yeah,
it was
so you didn't plan it that way. It just happened.
I didn't even know the game. Yeah. I was just like, I'm gonna make a horror movie channel, and I'll start with Friday the 13th because that's like the big series. So that's what I did, and it was just serendipitous.
Yeah,
you know, there are so many alternate timelines where one of those things doesn't happen, and we're still working as PAs or whatever.
That's the thing that I always want to stress about, like, what we do is, like, yes, we work hard on the channel. James especially works his ass off every day on this channel, but it's also just, we got lucky. You know, it was such a right place, right time, like, in regards to how big it got initially.
Well, you need both.
Yeah.
You need the hard work and you need the luck. And so, because plenty of other people are working just as hard as us.
Yeah.
And just might not have the luck of a game happening to be released to drive up that SEO, you know?
Like that was just the pure stupid luck of it all. So I'll never forget that aspect to it, at least. Yeah. You know?
Like, what was that moment of Zen where you found a niche?
Well, I think it helps that we had been doing Practical Folks for years. So we knew YouTube. We knew the types of things that help a YouTube channel. And I knew going into it that consistent releases was key to a channel's success. And so that's why before the first episode ever came out, I had the first 4 or 5 pretty much done. Like, I gave myself that runway. And I know that as the Friday series was coming to an end, I think I did have a, like, okay, what do I do after this? Do I just immediately start a new series? Do I take some time off? But I think at that point, the success that I was seeing in the numbers was grab my phone and look at like the YouTube stats from the previous day and be like, oh God, they're higher than before. Great. Because like, I still remember when the Jason X episode came out, I was at this outside work retreat thing. So like my phone was just kind of put away and I was just run over my phone and just, it was the Jason X video that I had our friends come over after I got home to show them like, guys, this is about to pass Practical Folks already.
Yeah.
Like just from this one video, and this channel's been out for a couple of months. Like, this is insane.
I think that's when it was like, it's going to pass our old channel that we worked on for years in a matter of like a month.
Yeah. That was when it was like, oh, this is going to be real. So at that point, even though that was probably the most physically stressful time in my life because I was still working full time at Full Screen. And so that was
you were doing Full Screen. When did you work for the like casino.
That was before. That was in my odd jobs
before,
period where I did some casino
we both
dealing.
Done weird odd jobs,
Yeah.
like corporate
events that would have blackjack tables and craps tables.
So James can deal craps.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I still can. That's a lot of math, but I was able to at one point.
I was cleaning the closet the other day and I saw that your uniform was still in
there.
I
still keep that, yeah.
Yeah, we both have worked some weird odd jobs. Like I did events, like I was on like a employee pool kind of for like events. So if there's ever like little charity events, like I worked March of Dimes and I helped like do arts and crafts with kids, and I also worked the LA Book Fair.
Oh yeah.
For I think that was National Geographic.
That was the real sweaty one.
The really sweaty one, yeah. Just like weird, like it basically was just this freelance thing. Like, hey, we need like 5 people to come run this event. Can you show up for a day? Because I really needed the money, so I went and did a bunch of that kind of stuff. I don't know. I was Batgirl for like a year of my life, which I will always cherish. That I was the only one to ever play her in real life because they changed all the designs. So for like a year, I was the only person approved by DC to be Batgirl, like officially. So I'll always cherish that. There was like a window of time where I was the only person on this planet allowed to officially be Batgirl, and that was really special.
It sounds very special.
It was the best. I would meet little girls and they would be like, I want to be smart like Batgirl. I love like math and school because Batgirl loves school. I would just like have to try not to cry.
So when creating Dead Meat, what is the most challenging thing when getting that started? Even though it was going, but keeping it up and keeping it going, any challenges that you've may face that you learned from?
Yeah, I think it was just the nonstop, like, have to get the next one out. And I mean, like I was saying, it became addictive for me to that period of my life. I was only sleeping 4 hours each night. So I would get up early to go into work, to skip traffic. So I was like leaving at like 6 a.m. just because at that point, every minute I needed to work on Dead Meat. And so if I was sitting in traffic for an hour to get to work, that was wasted time. So my solution, get up earlier, skip traffic, get to work early, work on Dead Meat until the boss came in. And then at lunch, eat at my desk, work on Dead Meat for that whole hour, and then leave and come home and work on Dead Meat until midnight or 1, go to sleep, do that all again. That was 6 months of my life.
Yeah.
And the only thing that kept me going was the idea of like, I think it was seeing the success early on was like a window into, if you can keep this up, this could be your job maybe. And it was, you know, I just believed in myself, I guess, and believed in the channel. And because like, that's such a big, especially because like I said, the job I had paid well.
Yeah.
And so it was like, so you have to try to make that much at least through YouTube alone. And that was so unheard of to us at the time, especially after doing the years of Practical Folks. But it was like, if I can do this, this will all be worth it. And it was, because in November of 2017, so 7 months after the first video posted, I finally reached that point where it was like, I'm making enough to where we can take a chance and hope that this continues to grow. I'm going to leave my job.
Yeah.
And I put in my, and I remember when I went to leave, a coworker of mine was like, well, why don't you just keep working here and do that? And then you'll have 2 sources of income. And I was just thought to myself, like, no, dude, I'm dying. I'm killing myself to do this. I have to pick one, and I'm going to go with the channel. And so, yeah, that was just it. So it was hard. It was very hard.
That's a terrifying decision to make.
Yeah. And during that time, I was like a shell of a person. We could barely hang out at all.
Yeah, well, because what it was is like when you were going to work early, I was working at Jimmy Kimmel Live, which is late night. Yeah. So I would work late. So like we never really saw each other. It was crazy.
It was nuts. And so thankfully, our relationship was strong enough to endure that period of time because we knew that hopefully it was a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my friends are still my friends because I didn't really see much of them at all during that time because it was just work and dead meat. And when I finally was able to leave the job, that it made it all worth it. So it was tough, but it was just a belief in myself and the channel that kept me going.
What would you say to people that is trying to, make that transition? I've been fine tuning and doing a lot of things that, trying to get things going. Like I find myself waking up early, going straight to the computer, and I'm just like, I have something and I just need to fine tune it. That's why sometimes, Chelsea, I may text you like, hey, does James use this or what?
Yeah, we've been in the exact same position.
Yeah.
And I hate asking.
Oh no, don't. It's fine.
I do, because the reason I hate asking, because I always feel like I should know by myself, but
no one knows by themselves.
One knows.
No one.
Especially because like the tech of tech changes so fast too, and when you're working in what we do, which is just like making digital content, it's just this constant like hamster wheel of trying to keep up with like how to actually most efficiently do stuff. And yeah, there's still plenty of stuff that I have to ask people, like, how the hell do I do this?
Really? You guys?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I feel like you guys have everything down pat.
No one has.
We're
all pretending.
Yeah, my last job. So when I worked at Jimmy Kimmel, I did like his YouTube channel. So my boss was in charge of the YouTube channel and like all social media for Jimmy Kimmel Live. And I literally still sometimes ask him for advice and help because he's so like, that's just what he does. Like his job is to understand the like weird world of social media and how to build content for it and dealing with the business side of that too, which like we're big idiots and don't know how to do. So I still constantly am asking him for like, how the hell do I go about like X thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me and some people that I know, it's equipment. I think that's important. Because is it video that's more important or the sound is more important?
Definitely
so I find definitely the sound. Since you guys been doing this so long, what's the most important thing of getting started if you don't know what to start with?
Yeah, I so think like you're right, like sound.
Yeah.
If you're gonna spend the money on anything, I would say making sure all of your stuff sounds good, because I would so much rather watch something where it maybe doesn't look amazing, but it sounds good, versus if it looks amazing and sounds bad, I'm instantly like turned off. And it's so weird how much more unprofessional bad sound and good video seems versus the other way around. And I honestly think there's something to the idea. I think people are really drawn to content that doesn't even necessarily seem like visually well produced. I think you can get away with a lot if the content itself is good. Like I always think of, for example, like Jenny Nicholson on YouTube films, she does videos where she's just sitting on her bed and there's a bunch of stuffed animals and stuff in the like she it's not like a set, it's just her bedroom, but her content is very good. Her sound quality, all of that's very good. And I've even run into stuff where I'll watch maybe someone I like online, and as they go on, their stuff gets more professional, like visually, and I'm like, oh, it's not as charming anymore. So I think
I'm sure some people are thinking that about dead meat.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, but I really think like sound for real is gonna be
especially because assuming you have a smartphone, which I know not everyone does, but most people do, that camera's good enough.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what phone you have, your camera's good enough visually.
Yeah, at this point in the year 2021.
Maybe not 10 years ago when we were starting, I would never think to film something on our phones.
That is like the craziest thing to me is everyone can just film stuff on their phones. Like we had to go rent cameras to be able to make.
We literally rented cameras to make fucking YouTube sketches. Yeah. Sorry, I forget if I can swear on here or not. You can censor that one.
It's okay.
So definitely if you have the money for something, get a good mic, lav mic maybe, or depending on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of you as a host, then maybe a lav mic. That's what I use in kill counts. Just a good lav mic that clips on your shirt and you're talking. Or if you're doing more remote on the scene stuff, get a good boom mic, shotgun mic. That
directional mic.
Yeah.
Or
And then, like I said, your phone should be good enough visually. And you just got to learn how to sync the footage. Just make sure you do that clap.
Get the sync clap. Yep.
Like how many takes have you done to where you're doing these kill counts, you're talking, you have everything, and it's just like, oh, it's just not getting.
I do a lot. Most of the hard work for a kill count happens before I ever hit record on a camera. The majority of my hours, especially now that I have editors who are doing the bulk of the post-production work, the majority of my hours on each kill count is spent writing, researching, and rewriting the script. So I know there are some channels out there, I won't name any names, but who I have heard write a single draft of their script while watching the movie for the first time, and then they record it. And that blows my mind. I could never do that because especially as the audience has grown and I'm sensitive to people telling me I'm wrong about things. I don't want to get things wrong. And so especially as the audience grows and more people are like really listening to the facts that I'm saying, I have to make sure they're facts. And so the writing and research is so extensive. I don't think there's ever been an episode that I began working on and just abandoned halfway through the writing process. And then by time I get to filming, I know the script really well. And there have been plenty of episodes where I've recorded it, and then later when I'm editing it, I'm like, James, what were you doing with these deliveries? And like, you must have been zoning out while reading the script because you're saying words weird. And you're just like, it's very easy, especially after doing this for so many years, to accidentally slip into like, getting too hosty with the voice or to just going on autopilot. And I try to avoid that. I try to, when I'm filming, stay present in the moment and really feel the words that I'm reading. Because like I said, it's so easy to just slip into, I'm just reading this thing and then I'm going to be done, hit stop and I'm done. But there hasn't been any episode where like, I've just abandoned it because I wasn't feeling it. Just, there are some where afterward I'm looking at it and I'm like, my delivery could have been better, but I think that most audience members probably wouldn't know. It's just me knowing myself so well that I'm like, oh, I'm not fully there in this one, but it should be okay.
Chelsea, how much influence do you have on him doing the kill counts? Like, do you help write?
No. I honestly don't do much on the kill counts at all. That's like all him. I mean, I show up for little bits sometimes.
You've helped with background stuff.
Yes.
Like you've made
props.
Yeah,
like I help like decorate the set.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where like I will, I'll watch the movie with him and I've written jokes for
for sure. When we watch movies together, I always prefer us to do that because Chelsea's the funniest person I know. So she will inevitably say some funny things. And then I'll just take out my phone and just like write it into my notes app. I think
the new, when you remake the Friday kill counts, they're going to have a lot of my jokes in them because
I didn't know who Dorothy Hamill was, but
together.
That reference is going
Dorothy Hamill hair, lots of Dorothy Hamill hair in the Friday movies, but so I think they're gonna have like just more of me in them just because I'm watching those movies with James. But besides that, like no, I'm not like a driving force behind the kill count at all. My main thing is the podcast. And that's kind of it. I guess like the channel, I help run the channel itself and I'm big behind the scenes in terms of like the direction the channel's going, like what we're doing business wise. Yeah.
Because the channel is more than just the kill count, even though that's like, the big series.
The bread and
There's
butter,
also lots of other series on the channel, and then there's the whole business side of it. There is a behind the scenes aspect to running this thing that it just gets bigger and bigger and more intensive as things go on. We just yesterday had a Zoom meeting with a insurance person for getting healthcare for our employees.
We're covering all of our employees.
Who are
which is really
the editors. We no longer pay as like freelance independent contractors. We hire them as actual employees of Dead Meat Productions. We provide healthcare and a 401k, and like that's stuff that 2 years ago would have sounded crazy to us. But we're at this point where like the channel is successful enough and we're fine. We just, we bought a house last year, moved into a house. We're good. We don't need anything else.
Yeah. We're excited to like use the channel to really pay it forward. But beyond just having like employees that I'm excited to, treat like we would have wanted to be treated as employees working other places, Again, I think coming from a background of working below the line jobs and odd jobs, like you never forget the way that feels and how it feels to not be paid what you deserve. It's
especially
miserable.
because like the quality level of the channel now there's no world in which it would be possible if it were just the two of us. Like the editors do so much to get all these videos out on time, because the kill counts aren't the same as they were when they started, when they were an 8-minute video of me being like, this person died, then this person died, oh that was awesome, then this person died. Like they are ridiculously extensive, researched, in-depth looks of things that because of the editors I can spend more time with that writing process, like I mentioned earlier, and let them do the heavy lifting on the post-production, and it just wouldn't be possible without them.
Okay, so how do you guys handle the fame and people
big air quotes on fame, big air quotes.
Okay, well
it's very specific.
Okay, let me start all over. Because you guys are well known in the horror community, and I think outside of the community, people also know you. Because there's some people who they're not really into horror films; they're just regular filmmakers. And as soon as like, oh, Dead Meat, oh, I know who that is. I'm like, you do? It's kind of cool. I didn't think they would know. And it's I forgot to even mention, just a side note, when when I was on you guys podcast for them, my nephews are big fans of yours.
Oh my god! Was that just a total like out of nowhere?
I had no idea they even watched the show or even knew. So when I went over there, my niece was like, oh my gosh, come in. And I was like, what? And my nephews were like smiling and stuff, and he was like, I didn't know Dead Meat.
Oh my god.
He was like, we saw you on there. I was like, oh, it's so cute.
That's so cool.
But you guys expand farther than I think you guys believe or think. I don't know, but I'm gonna say fame like this, because everywhere I go, like if I mentioned or you guys need to watch this or something, oh, I know who that is, oh my god, you know who they are. I'm like, well, I don't know them personally. Like
I can say
but I know of them. But you guys, like, how do you handle that when you go to the conventions and stuff like that, and people are just like, oh my god, it's Chelsea, oh my god, it's James. Like, how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, I think we have kind of an ideal situation here where, like most places, no one gives a fuck about us. Like, and we're even like my own family.
I care.
Like, I go home and I'm like my extended family, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I do, YouTube, and like that means nothing to them. It's just they don't have the same frame of reference for what a celebrity is for for someone who's, I mean, I have family members who are silent generation. They're like in their 80s. So we're like, all right, cool. They're super supportive. It's just a different world for them, you know. But then yeah, like conventions and stuff. We go to a horror convention, especially, and it's like nonstop. Like it is at the point where like I'm glad we're getting like we have a table to sit at.
Yeah, I don't know if at this point in time we can go to conventions as guests anymore and walk around and film stuff and like do our little one question interviews. It's like, because the last few times that we did that, and it's especially weird not knowing exactly where we are now, since we just had a year and a half off of doing live events.
True.
But the last few ones that we did before COVID, we would try to walk around and do stuff, and it'd just be nonstop, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we're never annoyed by that.
No, yeah. We always like talking to people. Like
that's the whole reason. Like we wouldn't be in this position without those people. Yeah. So unless we're like clearly trying to duck into a corner to eat an apple or something, or like we're happy to talk to people.
Yeah.
I think we both have just always keep in mind, like, we're not better than anyone else. Like,
yeah. Or just, I always try to remember, like, I mean, one, like, I genuinely like meeting people who watch the show. I'm always like excited to talk to people, meet people. And two, I just always think like, I'm so the type of person where if I met someone I really liked and I had like a weird experience with it, I would never forget it. I would just like go to my grave being like, oh my God, they thought I was weird.
Yeah.
R.I.P. You know, just it would like kill me. And I just always think of that. And I just, you know, not that I ever would be like mean to someone, but just even just like a weird, like neutral.
Yeah.
experience.
Like if someone seems like they're nervous or awkward, just being like, hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
you're good.
I haven't had any like bad experiences meeting people. Like there's no one where I'm like, oh man, that guy was a total weirdo, you know?
But really, yeah, I think it's just a matter of like, you can't take it for granted. You don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah.
And like, if these people are happy to see and meet you, like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What is there to be upset about?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is true, because a story that I have, I believe I told Chelsea when I met her in Pasadena, but I'll just re-say it. But when a friend of mine, when he was like helping me and stuff, he would always tell me to avoid you guys. Like, oh, they don't talk to dead meat because they're this and that. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But he was also the same friend with John Massari. So he would tell me that. And this was like probably maybe a year before I met you guys at Midsummer Scream. Okay. When the whole when Crypt TV had their little thing going on. Yeah, so this was like a year before that, and I couldn't understand why. And he was like, he used to say all these terrible things.
Yeah, like you're mean, or I know.
Like, I never met you, and I probably only watched one of the kill counts. So I never thought of anything about it. I just thought maybe he met you guys or something. I don't know. Until one day,
disbelief. I don't know a single interaction we've had where when it ended, I was like, that person probably thinks we're an asshole.
Yeah.
We are on our best behavior always.
But see, I thought it was kind of strange because, you know, John used to talk about you guys all the time. So I was like, John is so cool. Yeah. And he's my friend. Why is this guy? So I don't know. But anyway, so when I went to Midsummer Scream, and that's when I saw you two. And that's when I was like, I was walking by. I was finna walk by because you guys were talking to someone. And I was walking by and I said, there's that dead meat group. This is before I like really knew your names and everything. And my boyfriend was like, oh, don't talk to them. Remember what he said? And I was like, but they're smiling. They don't seem like that. Like I was thinking that, and then I just walked past and I kept going and I stopped. And I said, you know what? I want to find out for myself, because the interaction as I was walking by, you talking, I don't know if it was a fan or just someone you guys knew. I was like, it didn't seem right. So that's when I came back and waited till you guys finished and introduced myself. And you guys took the picture, and I still have that picture when you guys took the picture with me. And afterwards, and I left, and I was like, that guy's lying, because I have that sense. And then it just kind of snowballed, like, oh my God, I met them, like getting a different vibe. Like, you guys are super nice. Why did, and you know what I thought when you said that was your assistant and you guys walked away and John was still, talking to me. And I said, you know what? I want to be that comfortable to where I can have an assistant. And I remember saying that, and he was like, well, that's not everything. I said, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. And then from then on, I guess, I didn't talk to you guys for a little bit. And that's when I reached out to Chelsea about a question. And then she said, hey, would you like to go on to, the podcast? And then the COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear anything. And I was like, they're so busy. And I didn't think, and then that's when she came back and said, hey, would you like to pick a movie or stuff like that? So what I meant by it was this, not to be comfortable, it's not about money. It wasn't that. It was like, just have a sense of, I made it somewhere. And then, and I am comfortable enough where I don't have to, okay, which bill to pay? What should I eat? Should I pay this or that or that? That's what I mean. Because my situation, and a lot of people that I know, they have to choose. And right now, I'm so happy that I get to talk to you and other people, and I'm still building myself up. So the information getting from you guys is not really for me, because, I could ask a question, at any time or whatnot, but it's for those that I hear struggle. Like they see people in their bubble where they are now, but the struggle to get there, you guys were hungry. You had to, you didn't have money to fly back. You guys had to drive together, down here, and you had to take all these odd jobs and still try to make a choice of making something and working at a good job. Is this going to work? The struggle and the sacrifice. And I think that is what's important for people to know, that hard work, dedication, consistency, and just the drive could push someone. And I would have to say you two are fortunate to have each other, because there are some people who have no help, like absolutely. Sorry.
Yeah. No, don't be sorry. Yeah. It gets really lonely trying to do something where you put yourself out there. Yeah.
Some onions. Someone's is that you don't have no help or no support or no one to believe in you but yourself. And it's when you have to think of yourself to get up and do something. You want the drive, but you also, if someone was pushing you or you're feeding information off in that energy, and if you have the energy and someone that you with or in your circle is just dragging you down with, verbally abusive or anything like that, and you're trying to do something for yourself to get out of the situation, to get to a new beginning, it's very, very tough. It's extremely difficult, but it's not impossible. So when I see you two talk on your podcasts or just in conventions or whatnot, it's not about dead meat. It's about the relationship of having a partner who you can trust and help you build up something that's amazing. And I think a lot of people see that, as well as what the product that you made. But I want people to know that you guys are amazing. You guys push people to better themselves. And I want people to know that you didn't wake up with this idea. It took fine tuning. It took learning who you are and what you can do. And it's okay to make mistakes. But you are there and you're still learning and doing the best that you guys can do. Because like you said, that's why when you see your fans, you're so thankful for them and you talk to them, but at any moment it could go away, and you just take every moment that you have, and just happy and that you're able to have what you have right now. And that was a point of this interview, to learn. And I want people to know that you guys are amazing. And Aww. I'm just so happy that I stopped and went back and said hello.
Yes, I'm so happy you did too, because I'm so glad we're friends, and I'm so happy to see you. Like, I mean, you're killing it. Like, you know, you're like landing all these crazy interviews, and I'm like, oh my god, like Ivotres is interviewing like this, but like that's amazing. Like you really have something. It's incredible. Yeah, it's, you know, and I guess I just want to reiterate that even though, you know, we're doing really well for ourselves, like I still doubt myself all the time. Like that's why I took a break from the podcast, as I needed a few months to just kind of sort out, like, you know, it's an ongoing, there's not like you don't get to a point where everything is like, and then it's just smooth sailing after that. Like it's still just, we had moments where we doubt, like, I don't know, it's hard, like it's very vulnerable and weird, but I guess I just point that out so that, you know, if people are, you know, want to do something similar to what we do, or even if not, if they're just trying to do something for themselves, like that's so normal to, like, even if you feel like you've gotten somewhere with it, to like doubt that what you're doing like matters, or if it's good, or, you know, that's normal.
Yeah, and it is tough to maintain that belief that things will work out okay, because I mean, we're very fortunate now, but it was just a year before Dead Meat, where like before I got that full screen job, where there were nights where I was just sitting up crying in bed over after like tallying up the debt that I owed on credit cards,
crying about money, crying about, I remember,
like, how can I ever get out of this debt? And
I remember like a moment realizing like I'm never going to be able to afford our own home. Like that's never going to happen for us. Like just like I remember just accepting that, like just working the jobs we were working, and kind of trying to picture like where we would be in like 5-8 years, being like, this is never, you know, and just like accepting that so that I wouldn't be disappointed later, kind of thing. Like just that weird, I don't know if I'm sure people listening relate to that, just that like realization maybe, and just kind of protecting yourself from future disappointment, because it's fucking rough out there, you know. Money was a constant struggle. Yeah, and again, we just got really lucky, but we'll never forget how that feels, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally understand. Like something you said, like that whole thought of not getting out of something, and like I have that feeling now. Like it's just like, gosh, you just never know if you say hello to someone where it can take you, and don't believe what people putting in your heads. And that's what happened to me. And I'm just,
I still want to talk to this guy.
I know.
He said that we were unpleasant individuals.
Well, the funny thing is I don't talk to him anymore, because he said I kept on. This is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then, you know, soon I'm gonna let you guys go, because I know you guys are so busy.
Oh, no
but
worries.
the last thing I did to stop talking to him, or he did, or whatever, he said that I would never be nothing, and I'm wishy-washy, and I'll never make it. And he wished he never worked with me, and I was pathetic and all this stuff. And I kept the text message, and that was 2 years ago. It's still in my phone, and this is the reason why. I haven't seen it since that happened. But that's every time I scroll through, look at my text messages, and he's like the last one, I end up seeing his name. It's a constant reminder of what not to believe.
Yeah.
So he was a toxic person, but I thought he was trying to help me, but he was trying to use me to gain for his business, for his thing. I just like, you know what? I want to go to Midsummer Scream. And then that's when it just kept going with everything, good things. And I was thinking to myself, if I let someone drag me down, that much. And one, I need to work on myself. I need to have better confidence of who I am and what I'm doing. And two, never let that happen, because if I would have done that, I would never be sitting here talking to you guys. I would have never, been to that Black panel. I would have never done anything. And I wouldn't have known, because I'm not here.
Yeah.
And so, but that also goes to the life history of the things I went through.
Sure.
It just took a lot. It took a lot to realize that. And I'm just so glad that I didn't, and I'm here.
I am very glad also. And you mentioned that if you had done that, and you would have never gotten to experience what came after, right? And I think that applies to kind of how you've said you're feeling now, where it feels like being in a rut, and maybe someone who's watching feels like they're in a rut also. And it's just, you just never know what could happen in the seriously, everything is so random. What hits is so random. Like this was random. I feel like us getting the random uptick in views, you just don't know. And I feel like it's gonna happen at different times for different people. You just don't know. So I've had moments where I felt we've both felt rock bottom, and I've had my own struggles with mental illness as well. I felt rock bottom myself, and so I've had those moments where I think if I had done something in hindsight really foolish, there's so many amazing things I wouldn't have gotten to do, so I 100% understand and empathize with that, because it's really hard to even imagine something good could come your way when you're feeling that bad. But I promise, your brain is a liar,
And from the other end, just when we met you, obviously we had no idea what you were going through, but that's the case for every single person that we and everyone else meets. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. And that's another thing that really influences how we interact with people. Because especially if it's, a fan or someone who doesn't even know you, they could be having the worst day of their life. And if you're rude to them, who knows what they'll do. But if you're nice to them, maybe they'll turn things around. So it's you have that ability to influence other people's lives in every single interaction you have. And that's how I think of it. Just be a good person and pay it forward, and you might change someone's life, or at least change their day. And if not,
domino effect stuff. And Ivotres, this description that you said, that he called you wishy-washy or flaky or not. I'm that I don't even know who that is describing. That is not the Ivotres. You're such a hard worker, and you are constantly I'm always so impressed. I feel like you're already, because I think you have to remember, was it 2 years, a year is such a short amount of time. And I feel like you've already just the amount of stuff that I've seen you do. Also, you're an amazing artist. You make props and stuff. Have you seen her props?
No.
She made that head
you
back
made that
there.
head?
Yeah. I did a creep show panel.
Oh,
with,
it's amazing.
Some of the and so I decided to make it. Well, this is a skin box, and
that's so cool.
Because I got a PR package from Monkey Paw Productions.
Oh,
so
cool.
I decided to do that. So this is all paper
so
towel.
Cool.
This is all
no way.
Whoa.
Is it great. Paper towel and glue, or is it
tacky glue? Yeah, paper towel and tacky glue. And so I put it all on the inside, blood, and then this is paper towel.
Wow.
Have you thought about making videos of how to do stuff like that? Because it's, especially if it's paper, that's stuff where it's around the house and cheap. I think people would love. I'm not even kidding.
I don't usually take photos. I mean, video, but I took a lot of pictures of the process of how I did it. And it's some video of me holding it after it's almost complete. But I've had people ask me, oh my God, how did you do it? And some people asked if was I selling it. And I was like, no.
No. I think people love to see videos of you making those.
Oh, I do have there's a lot of things people don't know about me. Well, if you ever need a prop in advance.
Yeah. We we often do need very specific things. Yeah.
Just let me know in advance, because it took me 3 days and it's 2 days. So
okay.
That's so cool.
Just like on the hand, it took me 2 days. So
yeah, I think
you
you're
really
on like
never know.
The precipice of something really great. Ivotres, seriously.
Oh, well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I would, I have to say, you guys are amazing, and I see grander things for you guys. James is the Chelsea Network. You never know. You'd be surprised with things happen.
Man, I was thinking such small. I was like, maybe we'll finally get that 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot.
Yeah, that's the next big thing for us.
That's our next big thing.
So, before I let you guys go, what advice would you give for upcoming YouTubers and anyone who wants to get into the media business?
I would say decide how serious you are about it and then commit to that.
Yeah, and also just get ready to be rejected a lot. Like explicitly rejected, just the feeling of like no one cares about this.
Yeah.
Because it'll feel like that at least once, more than once.
Mm-hmm.
It's
not that, no one cares or no one will care. But it's hard to get that initial audience. That's the hardest part, is getting that like initial like.
Yeah, because like if we just like decide to say we don't care anymore and we put out garbage, we would still have an audience because it's been built, and we wouldn't do that because that's just not the type of people we are. But it's that initial build that's the hardest, and once you do that, it gets easier. It gets way easier. But yeah, it ties back into what I said about deciding how serious you are, because if you are serious about it, it's going to take serious work, and it sucks, and I wish that it didn't have to be that way, and sometimes it doesn't have to be that way, but it might have to be that way for you, and just realize that, yeah, it might be a lot of work for what feels like a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's what you're serious about, then do it. Commit.
Okay. All right, then. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
James and
Chelsea. James and Chelsea, you guys are amazing. I wish nothing but great things and even greater things that you already have. So thank you so much. And you guys have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
For more reviews and interviews like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, and leave a comment if you can.